Hi everyone! Today I want to share this really fun Brusho butterfly card. If you're not familiar with Brusho, it is a new product for Stampin' Up. It's not a new product in general, but it hasn't been carried by Stampin' Up before. And it is these little pots of color, and inside this little pot are tiny little powders. It's kind of like powdered sugar almost, very fine, and they're fun to use, and I thought I would share with you how I use them. Mine are a mess. I used them at a 5th grade class party with 27 children, and they loved them. They had a great time, but they made them quite messy. Anyway, so I'm going to use it today on this butterfly card, and I thought I would show you step by step how to create this look. So I start with a piece of watercolor paper, and mine is cut 5 by 3 3/4 because I want to layer a piece of basic black, which is going to be 5 1/4 by 4, and then I've got it all on a nice piece of thick, very vanilla cardstock. So I'm starting with the watercolor paper, and I wanted to have a fun background of, I wanted a newsprint or some kind of thing like that, and I remembered that I have this music notes stamp, and it works really nicely as a background, so it looks like I have stamped on some sheet music. So I normally don't buy wood blocks, but on these big huge stamps I like to use a wood block because it keeps them nice and flat, and they're so big I think a wood block is worth the extra money on this one. So I ink it up this way. I think that's just simpler. And then I even get my card, I leave it like this, and then I put my cardstock on top, and I grab an acrylic block from my desk because there's always at least one or 10, and I rub that on there, and that is it. Okay, so there are my music notes. And then I'm going to use this new stamp set from the Occasions catalog called Beautiful Day. It's got some really big images. They are bigger than the image on the front, so you can see how large they are, and it's just such a pretty color. It's just such a pretty stamp set because it's really good for coloring, is what I meant to say. The big, bold images are great for techniques. So if you like to watercolor, or you like to use the alcohol markers, the Stampin' Blends, or whatever you like to do, this really lends itself nicely to different techniques. So I'm going to use the big butterfly, and I'm going to ink it up with the same ink. I should mention that you need to use an ink that'll stand up to water, and so I'm using the Stampin' Up! Archival Basic Black. And I'm going to stamp 2 butterflies. I want one, almost the full butterfly. His little wings are coming off the end, but that's okay. And on this one, I just need the little wing tip. Okay, now we're going to add our Brusho. So as I mentioned, Brusho is a powder. It's very fine, so you do not open the little pots. You actually put holes in the little pots. The children went a little crazy and put lots of holes, like a salt shaker. You just really need one hole, and what you can do is stick a tack, like a little push pin, in it that makes the hole, and then it also closes the hole because you can just keep the push pin in it. I can't do that because the kids went crazy, so I just cover mine with some washi tape, and that works fine too. So it comes in 5 colors. You get yellow, gamboge, which is kind of an orange, Prussian blue, brilliant red, and a moss green. And I showed another video where I went through each and every color and what they look like, and I'm not going to do that today just because I've done it before and maybe you just want to see this one. So for this card I'm going to go with the yellow and the gamboge, and I'm just going to tap some of the yellow in the center. Can't quite see it, but when I spritz the water, you're going to say, oh, that's a lot of yellow. There we go. And now I'm going to add a little bit of the gamboge. I'm going to put that kind of on the tips of the wings. That's about it. Maybe one more there. Okay. There we go. So I've put the powder on there, and then how you activate it is with water, and you can activate it with a watercolor brush or a Stampin' Spritzer. I'm going to do the spritzer. If you're unaware of these little spritzers, they are quite awesome. You get a pack of 2 for just $3. So I recommend having a pack of these on hand. And this one is just filled with water. You can fill it with water and ink. You can fill it with all different things, so that way you can get lots of techniques out of these little spritzers. So I'm going to kind of keep my spritzer several inches, maybe 6, away from the paper, and I'm going to give it short little sprays, just so I know. I want to have a little bit of control. And you can decide when you want to stop. I think that is good. Okay. So you can decide how much you want to add. If you want to go crazy, I think sometimes going crazy, putting too much on is too much, like I did on this blue version. It's way too much blue, and I think there's just too much going on this card, so I don't really like that one. But this is the one I'm going to stick with on this version. Now you can just let it sit to dry. Sometimes I might throw a little block on there to keep it flat. But another thing you can do is use your heat tool. And I'm going to do that. I will speed up the film while I dry so you don't have to hear the heat tool. Okay, so I've got my background, which I think is fun. And then we're going to go ahead and make the little sentiment piece, this one here. And I wanted it to have that same feel. So I grabbed some watercolor paper again, and I used a stamp from the Just Add Text stamp set. Now I wanted to use this one because I wanted this stamp right here. It says, "I feel that there is nothing more truly artistic than to love people," and it's a quote from Van Gogh. And I just recently watched a movie called Loving Vincent. My art teacher mentioned it to us. It's quite amazing. If you are an art lover, you should check it out. It has every frame of the movie. It was acted out by people, but then every frame has been colored, painted over by artists. I think there was 180 artists involved, frame by frame, painting it out. You can kind of see different art styles throughout the movie too, because every artists would work for a month, and then another artist would come in and work for a month, because it's a lot of work to paint every single frame of the entire movie. And it's really fun, and I made my husband watch it, and he was like, why do I let Beth pick movies every once in a while? But in the end, he had to admit that he liked it, so he thought it was really interesting, and it was a fun story. You might not know all the story of Vincent van Gogh, so check it out. It was on Amazon, Loving Vincent. That's my little plug. Okay, so I did the same thing. I stamped, I put the powder on, and now I'm going to spray. That's just a fun little instant right there when the little crystals get water and they form. Isn't that fun? So I'm going to do one little spritz over here. There we go. And now I'm going to dry. Okay, love it. Now I'm going to cut this out with, I'm using this shaped, stitched shaped framelits. There it is. So I'm going to cut this out. I also want to mat it with a bit of black, and I'm using the layering ovals framelits for that one. So I chose the one with the little scallops around the edge. And you know what I did, I thought was quick thinking, is I cut it out from the very cardstock that I'm going to use to mat this. No one will ever know. Look at that. And I didn't have to grab another piece of basic black. So that's what I cut out for my matte piece. And then I'm going to go ahead and cut this out, and I'll be right back. Okay. And now we're just putting it together. For some little ribbon, I wanted a little more texture to it. I'm adding this really fun vintage crochet trim in black. So first I'm going to put these two layers together. Now I normally don't do all 4 sides of my card. Oh, did I run out? Nope. But because I watercolored, it's a little bumpy, so I'm going to put some adhesive on all 4 sides and lay it down. And now I'm going to tie some of my little trim. There we go. And now I'm going to place it onto a very vanilla cardstock base. There we go. And now I've got some cute little note cards that I'm going to use when I need to send in a payment for my art class. And I think my teacher will really appreciate that. So that is Brusho for you. Here's another little version of the same kind of butterfly card, only I didn't use the background stamp behind it. And this was something we made at Stamp Camp. Really fun. I hope you like it. I hope you give Brusho a try. You can shop for Stampin' Up! At my blog, bestpapercuts.com. And I'm always happy to help you answer any questions you might have about any products we sell. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!